Hello, everybody. Tis I. I am in my car. I'm parked alongside the road, so I'm going to talk a little louder so that you can actually hear what I'm saying. I want to talk about the narratives and how we can take back who is going to write our life story, where we're going to become the author of our own life. I want to talk about that one person from birth on that you've known, that everyone has been pussyfooting around your entire life. I don't know if it's an aunt who is drunk, an uncle who's a drug abuser, a sister who is a hoarder, another person who may have started on my 600-pound life, it's just someone that has the ability, or can if they want, to role reverse and undo the damage that has been done. And I want to talk about how we are programmed and raised to behave a certain way and adjust ourselves around someone who is an alcoholic. So for instance, I was married to someone whose mom was an abusive alcoholic, and so it didn't matter what event we had. It could have been my daughter's first birthday or whatever. She had to have alcohol, and I am not a drinker per se. My dad was an alcoholic, so it's a trigger for me, and it was just a huge annoyance. She couldn't be somewhere where there was not alcohol, and nobody addressed it, because that's just the way they are. And so the rest of us, when they're not around, will say, don't you see there's a problem? And it happened in my family too. My aunt, who lived with my grandma her entire life, even when my grandma passed, my aunt's still in the home, was an alcoholic. And it didn't matter if you were there at 9 in the morning or right after church on Sunday, she had a beer next to her on her table. So anyways, I'd say, don't you guys realize there's a problem? And in fact, it was so bad. This is how bad the dynamic was in my family. My beautiful maternal grandmother, her mom, she lied for her. My aunt was, I think she was in her 50s. So she's living with my grandma, always had. My grandma called the family. It was in winter, and said my aunt had fallen and broke her wrist shoveling outside. She slipped on some ice, and so she was at the hospital. And then my grandma cried and admitted that my aunt was drinking too much and had fallen in the basement and broke her wrist, and my grandma couldn't help her get up. So she said, I'm going to call the ambulance, and my aunt said no, but anyways, that's what happened. So anyways, if it's family dynamic, there's always that one person that everybody has to be. We ignore the problem. We walk in, we ignore the problem. We we go to a party and then we leave and everybody talks about it. Well, who's going to say something? Well, nobody says anything. So anyways, even it's happened in my husband's family, where there's been a couple of situations we've had to address, and and it never goes over well, because then you are the asshole, or you're the B, or you wear the pants in the family. So what do you do? Especially when you have an estranged adult son or daughter who controls the narrative. They say, well, in fact, this happened to me. My oldest daughter, estranged, came back. When she came back into my life, she apologized, said, I'll never have it again. But you can't tell dad or her sister that she came back. And I said, what are you talking about? Why can't I tell anyone? Oh, you just can't tell anyone. And I said, well, that's okay. So I couldn't take pictures and post them on my Facebook, even share them with. You can't tell anyone I'm back. They'll be mad. And well, why are you ashamed of me? So that's what I'm talking about. When it comes to estrangement, your adult son or daughter is controlling the narrative. In fact, when my daughter's estranged, they left and they moved and kept in touch with my sisters or other family members. And my oldest sister said, I've met your grandkid. And I said, well, where is she living? Well, I can't tell you. So-and-so doesn't want me to tell you where she's living. I said, well, if that happened to you, I would never treat you like that. So anyways, that's what I'm talking about, that one person that controls the narrative. So what do you have to say? What do you do? You just say, I'm not going to be a character in your book. You are not going to control my narrative. You're not going to tell me what to do. You have to finally say no. I'm not playing this game. You're playing chess, checkmate, I'm done. I'm coming out of this situation. So anyways, that's what I'm talking about. If you from birth on have been raised that you have to be kind to Uncle so-and-so because he's a drunk, you call him out. Say, you're a drunk and I can't be here anymore. I don't want to come to family parties anymore because Uncle so-and-so makes me, I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to be around Aunt so-and-so because she can't control her mouth. She's mean. She says cruel things, or my kids don't like her. So anyways, don't let anyone control your narrative. You're the author of your story. That's all there is to it. I will be back with another message soon, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.